Hiya, ladies and gentlemen, it is so fantastic to see you. We have so much news along the horizon, and I have to get up and change my monitor because it's being waddle back over here. Alright, yes, I'm sure you guys have seen it, because everyone is just, listen man, I have my set, it's cold over here, but it is what it is, okay? I'm always at least I'm almost like 15 hours late, which is not the worst, right? Starting this off hyper defensive feels about right. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to talk about, and I'm going to try not to make this 40 minutes long like I have a tendency to do. So yeah, first things first, just a synopsis of what we're going to cover. We're going to cover Albedo, his skills, his weapons, his stuff like that, the way he potentially could scale, although take everything with a grain of salt. And we're also going to be talking about the details of Dragonspine, the climate changing, and things that they are going to add to make it less tenuous or horrible, and all that stuff. Let's get into it. Now, the first things first, I want to talk about Albedo, because, well, first of all, I wanted to wait to do this video until they uploaded, like, the trailer for him, which they kind of have. It's like a teaser trailer, kind of like Zhongli, how we've seen him talk to, like, the Mortician or whatever, like, those people, and it was kind of a nice little back and forth. We get the same thing for Albedo. It's not enough, I think, to show you guys, and I think in a couple of days they're going to release his actual gameplay trailer where, like, the actual designers will be telling us what he is supposed to do. But for right now, we're stuck in La La Land of speculation and all that, which I cannot wait to jump into. It's my favorite part about characters, is speculating what they could potentially be used for, and all that. Now, unfortunately, Albedo's kind of like update screen is a bit fucky. It looks like it's meant for mobile, and I'm on that, but hopefully I can edit it weird and make it perfectly line up there. Regardless, let's get into this. For those guys who do not know, Albedo is Mondstadt's genius alchemist, aka Hitler's wet dream. Oh my god, look at his face, his eyes, and his hairstyle. Maybe the femboy aesthetic would not be, yeah. Anyways, next thing. Alright, so obvious things. He's a Geo user, he's also a swords user, and all that stuff. Also, his affiliation is the Knights of Favonius. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, okay, so this to me, man, I go back and forth with Albedo. I don't want to talk too much, but I want to talk about this for the longest amount of my allotted time. Albedo doesn't look like he's very, very flashy, which is kind of the problem, whereas Genyu, with all that she is very flashy. But she's also an archer character, which a lot of people are like, do I really want to spend most of my time aiming down sights? Or would I rather just switch to a character, activate a talent, switch to another character, activate their talent, and then switch to my main DPS, swing a couple times, go to my next character, activate their talent, and just keep charging my ults and stuff like that, and triggering elemental reactions. And now even Genyu does look like she's going to be a kingpin of elemental reaction just because of her radius, but Albedo's radius on his E is insane. I might be saying, well, GRINN, what's so good about his E in general? Well, one negative is that it's Geo. To me, that's the thing that sucks. If this was not Geo-based, it would be really good, like a constant fire dot being applied to your enemy, no matter, like, on a crazy long radius, would be crazy. Maybe a little broken. But that's why a lot of the Geo characters are seemingly having just the, like, constant production of Geo element applying onto enemies, which is good and kind of bad, because every time a Geo element applies, it takes the reaction chance away from other elements, which are really a lot stronger in terms of damage. But anyways, essentially, his talent is you summon forth this nice little flower, this lily or whatever, and it will consistently start spawning out elemental damage, Geo damage. Yeah, so in this huge radius, you summon forth this flower, and then it just does a big amount of Geo damage on impact. Awesome. Here's the kicker, though. Every 2 seconds or so, or this could be 1 second, could be 2 seconds, but most likely it's going to be 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, when you hit an enemy within its radius, it will generate a blossom, which deals Geo damage to enemies based on Albedo's defense. Now, yes, this is kind of like that. It's still up in the air whether you want to build him for defense. Kind of like Zhongli, how people said to build him for HP, but if you wanted his meteor to hit like a truck, you still built for attack, even though his skill tree would lead you to believe, hey, it's better to just build for defense. And now it is if you're trying to build him full of support. But yeah, now only one of these blossoms can exist on the field at once. This is not changed by constellation, unless that is something that they're changing. But this thing also resonates with Zhongli's pillars. And that to me is what this kind of, okay, so the thing that makes this ability crazy, because on just like looking at it right now, it's like, okay, cool, a little bit of burst damage, and every time I melee, I apply an element that is kind of weird when it comes to DPS. Like, yeah, I'll be covered with the shield, but Zhongli just came out. I'm perfectly defensible, or Xiangling just came out. I'm also perfectly defensible, like, you know? Or I have Chi-Chi. I don't need any help resisting damage. I can just heal through it. But the thing that I think this character is supposed to be, and just the way that Zhongli was kind of neutered by, I think, his impenetrable shield. I think his shield was so strong that designers were like, okay, something has to give here or else he's just going to be broken. I feel like this character is the same way. I feel like this character, and I've heard other people say it, and I agree with them entirely, this character is a battery for everybody else's alts, because every 2 seconds, you're meleeing an enemy, and the radius for his Blossom is fucking huge. So think about it. Every single time you're meleeing an enemy, you're getting a tiny bit of alt charge. Now, this character, if everything is to be believed, with his, like, with some, not leaks, but like his stats from beta testing and all that kind of stuff, which are maybe considered leaks, but his alt charge is going to be super, super low. So just like Zhongli's, how you can basically get his alt really easily, but not really, because it's weird how you regenerate elemental particles with his pillars. Anyways, this character, and it kind of falls in line with what he is, which is an alchemist with his, like, the cost of life and birth and the cycle that repeats itself and making something from nothing. The fact that he is going to be the thing that supercharges all of your allies to just keep dropping alts after alt after alts. Now, if you're lucky enough to have any of the characters that have pretty decent alts and wonderful alts, then that's amazing news. And if to me, this speaks to the gameplay loop that I think is going to entirely be destroyed by Genyu, maybe. But Genyu is, it seems like it's more of like a Razor playstyle. We're going to be predominantly playing her, aiming down sights, building up your charge, thwap, smashed, killing an enemy with one shot, crazy good damage. But this character, Albedo and seemingly Zhongli, seem to play off of the swapping of characters kind of playstyle, which honestly is a playstyle I actually really like, which I've been playing with since the beginning, which is Venti. You pop your ult, you activate your things, you switch to other characters, activate Teddy, activate Oz, and then switch to your next characters, and by the time you repeat the circle, they're back on cooldown. The only thing that this would change is it would make it so that your ults are now on cooldown, probably within a rotation, which is nuts. We also don't know how this scales with enemies' hits. So if I activate Venti's ult in this radius, does that count? Because it's technically hitting with animo damage and a little bit of base damage every single time, I think. So will this just keep adding to that storm and keep giving me like particles every now and again? Also, it does that Blossom, that does a good amount of additive damage. So this is a character that I think is, again, it's a support character, it looks like. Albedo does not look like he's going to be a ruthless DPS. But instead a person that can just enable everybody else to be incredible, and whereas Zhongli was pure defense and maybe a little bit of support and maybe a little bit of damage with his ult, I feel like he is entirely based on his E. All of his power and why other things are a little less powerful, like his, if this is to be believed, his melee combat seems to be less, it didn't scale as well as others. I could be wrong on that, but just from the numbers that I see, it doesn't look like it's that good. Again, those are subject to change. But yeah, to me, I think this character is like where Zhongli was a shield, that's where all of his power had to get funneled through, and then where I think the designers were like, okay, we need to nerf something about him or else he's just going to be stupid. I feel like Albedo's is going to be elemental recharge, which I feel like is way more applicable for most people. I feel like most people like using their alts, and this is a very, very lazy ability where you just pop out your Blossom, switch to another character. This thing, if leaks are to be believed, is up for, I think it's 30 seconds and it recharges in 12 seconds or something like that, or 8 seconds, I think. That is nuts. This thing is always going to be on the field and easily to reposition, and if we go ahead and look at some of his other skills, yeah, this right here. Look how huge that radius is. That's madness. Now the thing is he is, I think it's weird how the game works when it comes to elemental recharge, but one of them is if you're gaining an elemental particle with that same element's affiliation in terms of other characters, you regenerate your alt more. So if you have a Zhongli and an Albedo, both Geo users, the elemental particles I think are going to get shared in a much more efficient way. Whereas if you have a different character types, I feel like it's a little bit less. But this is what everyone's kind of looking at his skill set and thinking, it's either this is gonna have to be nutty or for everything else to be like make sense, which makes sense. Geo is the support like character, but it's not outright damage, which using your ult isn't exactly just damage, but it can be, but it's mostly the enabling of that. And again, Zhongli has one of the heaviest hitting ults in the game that comes back so fucking fast, and his ult also looks like it's fantastic. If you happen to have any other person like a Venti or like a Ching or anyone who has decent ult radius and shit like that, this could be nutty. Keeping yourself on cooldown constantly, which is why people are saying you should probably build Albedo for both attack and, of course, recharge. Defense is yet to be seen whether that scales too hard. Again, that's one of the weird things where, like, you look at his skill tree, you look at his constellation, and you think, oh, it says he scales with defense, right? No, he can scale with defense. Doesn't mean you should scale him with defense if you want damage. It may just be a way for them to be like, hey, if you want to make this character really tanky and him still to do some good damage, then you can. But that's yet to be seen. And again, I don't know what we should build him for. That's one of the, unlike Zhongli, where you could kind of get an idea, maybe besides the idea that most people wanted him to be a DPS and use his spear, but didn't really check out in that regard. Yes, but long story short, this character is going to be made and unmade in the test arena. So when the test comes out, play the shit out of him, see if he's your vibe. I honestly would love to have him. When I first seen him, I thought, but the idea of him just supplying me with ults, which I love playing that kind of gameplay in this game, where you switch to a character, use their abilities, switch to the character, use their abilities. And the idea that you constantly have your ults on play would be so fun to me. Just to build like that kind of chaotic mage-like build where you're summoning a meteor, activating a whirlwind, rocking out with Zhangling, or not Zhangling, the Rocker Girl. Sorry. And yeah, I think it could just be fun and nutty. Also, full Geo setup on this would be even more crazy, because weirdly, a lot of the Geo ults are just visceral, brutal damage. Like Nin Yang, or Ning Wang, all of those people, as well as Zheng Li and him, seem like all their ults are just like a big thwap of damage, which played together could be fucking ludicrous. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into his next skill, which you guys have been seeing for quite a while. But essentially, this is the thing that is so fucking cool. No, it's kind of just like, okay, I guess. Our boy can summon forth a pedal and jump on top of it and float up. Now, yes, this can be somewhat synergized, but I don't really see the playstyles that are the current meta falling into this. But if you have a Klee, you can start raining down bombs. If you have a Lisa, you can use her charge ability for much more safety, unless there's archers, but even still, you probably would still be fine. You can also do plunge attacks, and apparently he scales his plunge attacks in his constellation. But I most likely won't use this. Again, I think this is like a traversal ability for most people who aren't in that specific situation. And again, look at the radius. Now, yes, in the fucking trailer of the game, we've seen what's his name popping off, Zhongli popping off with his base melee. And yeah, that radius could be reduced, whatever. But yes, little elevator at play, kind of cute, neat. Moving on. All right, so this is his ult. Which this is one of the things I like about the character a lot, and I wish more characters would do this. And it seems like a lot of the Geo characters do this, which I wish more of the other characters would do this, unlike just Razor. But this is a character that feeds into himself, which I like a lot. So essentially, you put down your Blossom, it will increase your ult by a lot. So one of the things that it talks about is that when you put down your Petal, your E ability, or your just first ability that's not your ult, there are those blossoms that will deal damage every 2 seconds or so. But when you activate your ult, I believe it says you get 7. So 7 procs of that in one go. And you also have your ult that hits pretty damn hard. It's not as crazy as like as a Zhongli, but it's still pretty hard, which is kind of weird. Again, like this to me, Zhongli's ult hits hard as fuck, but also freezes enemies. And this one seems like it hits hard, but in a weird way, you know? So I'm not sure. Like, if anything, this one seems like this should hit harder because it doesn't have the attribute of freezing an enemy. But I think, again, it's because this character is weirdly just so cemented with his E. I think his E is going to be the thing that people are sleeping on, and the idea that you're going to use this ability and you're just going to notice I have unlimited ults is a likely chance thing. Also, if you look at his ult, it happens fast. It's not like 1, 2, boom. It's not like the other characters where like you have like 7 frames of invincibility. No, it's meant for you to switch to him, smash out his ult, and get it done. And if the leaks are to be believed, his ult cooldown is going to be really short, the same as Zhongli, 12 seconds. That you can't use his ults, and you could go to Zhongli, and in that 12 seconds you could just do anything. You could queue up other characters' talents, and then the ults are not on cooldown anymore, and then smash again, and then go into it. And again, if you happen to have 2 Nin Yang and all those people who are just like, all of their alts are just chaotic bursts of damage. And I think that's wonderful. I think that could be really, really nutty. But again, he goes against the play styles of selfish players. He's like, you switch to him, you get a lot out of it, and then you switch to another character and you can get even more out of it. But yes, never cast this without having your Geo Construct activated. But also, I don't know why you would ever need to do that either. Yeah, because your Geo, you're like, again, you can replace your pedal like instantly, like it comes back in 8 seconds and lasts 30 seconds if the leaks are to be believed. So yeah, I feel like you should never not quickly use your T and then use your alt and then just get way more out of it, even if you're not building it for it to scale well, which we're not talking about, by the way. We're not talking about the ways things scale, because there's a lot there. Anyways, he's an alchemist. He talks about how, like, a rebirth, all that stuff, and new birth, all that stuff. Lisa likes him a lot because he's a genius. He always has a plan, and she also says she likes you the same way, all that. Voice actors are fantastic. His goal seems to be the truth of the world. What could it be? This is kind of an interesting one about his socializing. Relationships are quite troublesome. One establishes a relationship with someone, you must continue to maintain it. If you lose contact, you must reestablish the relation. This taxing cycle takes up a lot of time. So this is like awesome to me. This is like having friends is hard work, but he's a good friend, you know what I mean? It's not like, again, people who reestablish connections after being away for a good bit of time and constantly keep talking to them. It would be one thing if he's like, fuck them. But no, it's just like, no, if I have a friend, I'm going to have to be there for him, and I am going to be there for them, but Jesus Christ. And that's nice. Also, he's apparently a genius, but he's not a douche about it, which is nice. Anyways, his hobbies, of course, are alchemy and painting, mainly painting. He's an artist, as well as his favorite food are desserts, as well as his least favorite foods are meat and hefty meals. As well as Amber thinks that everyone does do enough, and she's the best. Anyways, also, he's got that thin situation going on, you know, where he's like, I only eat sweets, but I only have like one sucker a day or something, and it's like, dude, eat more. Anyways, so that is Albedo. Again, if we go to his like kind of like what might be possible, again, this stuff is subject to change, so don't take this into too much consideration. Also, if you're planning on getting him, these are the resources that you're going to need to farm. Of course, the Geo stuff, but in the Cecilia weirdness, yes, as well as he's a part of the Knights of Favonian faction, so he is going to require the special harp, I believe, blueprints. Yes, so yeah, you're gonna need to grind some of that. But yeah, I don't want to go into too much of his scaling, because this is super subject to change. His scaling could be just gone, like not what we actually feel. I feel kind of bad because we talked about Zhongli's scaling with his melee, and it was not that way at all. So yeah, the only thing that I will say is his first constellation, just like Zhongli's, seems to be pretty damn strong, which is essentially giving Albedo the ability to restore more of his energy consistently, which is really good. Again, furthering the idea that Albedo seems like he's going to be just a hell of a battery, which is awesome. Again, I want to get him, but I don't know if I should spend my points. Like, honestly, he fits into my team more than a Genyu, but of course I want a Genyu. Who doesn't want the fucking Genyu? Looks so sick character-wise. I just don't know if I'm going to be down with the gameplay of like aiming down sights, you know what I mean? Especially when I already have a Razor. You know, I already have a character that's very selfish in the way that he has to be played. Like when you're playing him, you have to play him for like at least 20 seconds of interval, because that's how long his ult and shit takes to build up and etc. But if I could just toss out Albedo's flower, toss out a Geo construct, they resonate, do a good bit of damage, and I activate Zhongli's shield. Now we're getting alt charge back, and we're constantly staying in those invincibility frames, and we're not dying, and we're dealing with damage. This way I could build Zhongli for damage, because I'm always going to be stunning people and shit like that, you know? So that could be interesting. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens there. I don't know. Again, he synergizes way more within my current team, especially since I got Zhongli. So I don't know, but Genyu looks so cool. Anyway, sorry, on to the next thing. Talking too long. This is going to be pretty fast. Okay, so let me try to do a speedy version of this. This is Dragonspine. Beautiful, immaculate, frozen as shit. There's this new stat of cold. Sheer cold is what it's called. It actually increases pretty relentlessly. You get cold fast out here. Makes sense. Our character's tummy's hanging out and shit. What the fuck? When you get max cold, you take a huge chunk of your health away, a percentage, which looks like 10% or so, which is brutal. So even if you have a lot of health like Zhongli, it doesn't matter a lot. Here's the thing I don't think anyone's talking about though. When you're in water, you freeze quicker, but I don't know if it's when you're in water or if it's when you're wet. So if you are Barbara and you're like fighting an enemy and you use her healing ability, which makes you wet, are you just gonna freeze like a popsicle? Like, what happened? What's going on? There is a way to counteract that with using the Rocket Girl, which is awesome. But yeah, also I think they're like blizzards, which just increase the cold as well. But then there are icing on the top, which this thing empowers enemies that are within it, as well as it makes you cold as hell as well. So this is the thing that you're going to need to dive bomb, break, and then fuck off. Now I don't know. I would imagine this is similar to any rock construct. So if you happen to have a Claymore user, big money. If you don't have a Claymore user, maybe beneficial just to lead the big ass enemies outside of the radius, just in case you don't have enough to break the thing because you just got really unlucky with characters. I don't know, but one of the things that's evident is fire characters are going to be pretty damn good by being able to light torches and shit. They're using Amber here, memeing on us, saying that Amber is viable because she can do this. It's fucking weird and pathetic. Anyways, but yes, another heat source. These are the other heat sources that you can do. The thing that freaks me out though is we don't know if fire element actually makes you warmer. We would hope, but who knows? Like being able to burn the ground, or like standing in Teddy's fire, or using any of the other characters that legitimately set you on fire. I'm hoping that the Rocket Girl shield will actually heat you up or keep you from being cold, but if not, we have a bunch of things to actually use. For instance, goulash. One thing I wanted to point out though is that the carrot and the tomato, really chill to get, not that bad to actually farm and attain, but that doesn't look like steak. That looks like a different kind of meat. Steak don't look like that in the game, so maybe they're updating the UI, or maybe that's like a specific kind of like Yeti meat that we'll have to get. I don't know, the meat looks different. It's pretty annoying to have to farm meat specifically for this food, but who knows. If you want it, then go ahead. But yes, it will stop you from getting too cold too quickly, and then there's this consumable warm bottle where you'll cast it, and it will basically surround, like, it'll put like a healing zone around you, which is nice. How you get that, we'll talk about it in a minute. Here's another thing that is very similar to the, in Leeway, there's like geo rock kind of clusters where you can break them and you have to bring them to like a lamp and it will light the lamp. Very similar. This is just like a blood fire kind of dot, which just like Leeway, you can use that element to actually get into things. This is the same way. You can unlock chests by defrosting things. But whilst you have this thing equipped, by the way, it does not, it seems like it completely halts your, yeah, it seems like it completely halts your cold, which is amazing. And then there's this. This is kind of like the first event slash the money maker outside of the story that we're going to be getting into what seems like first when we get into the DLC. But essentially, it's the frost-bearing tree. Simply put, there is going to be these crystals that we're going to have to find and bring back to the tree. And every single time we level up the tree or bring stuff back to the tree, we level up, getting a fluster of rewards, wishes, experience books, that fire bottle, a prototype weapon. It's a polearm, but still. A cool like banner thing, whatever, and then an actual blueprint, and of course a crown, which is fantastic. Now that weapon blueprint, this right here, is actually, I'm surprised. I looked on that one place, which shan't be named, but it said that a lot of the Frostbearer weapons scaled off physical damage, and this one contradicted it. This one's actually scaling off of base attack, but I still think the Claymore will scale off of physical damage. But just something interesting to note, it's scaling off attack, not physical damage, which honestly makes more sense, because I don't know how many casters really scale off of physical damage. So yeah, we already know the prefix on it. It's godly. It has a chance for you just to do a crazy amount of AoE damage, as well as if an enemy's frozen, you just absolutely eviscerate them, further increasing the viability of frost characters. But to me, this is weird because I don't think we have any ice casters. We do have Mona and Barbara, who maybe you could throw this on and they could apply the frozen stat, you know? So maybe switch to Chung Yoon and in his, yeah, that would work. Yeah, that would work. If you have Mona and then you quickly like smack the ground with Chung Yoon, you can apply cryo basically and fuck them up, which is awesome. Also, I think you still apply maybe a little bit of wet depending on what you're using. But anyways, to go back to like the basics, the fire bottle does look like it costs. I don't know if this is one time, like you can only make this once. I feel like this is yeah, I feel like this is not like an endless resource, which is unfortunate. This does look like you have to make it multiple times, which is a bit shit. But anyways, that's what it looks like. You activate the bottle of warmth, and it makes a little tiny zone around you that heals you, or not heals you. Sorry, makes you warmer. Neat. There's your ticket. There's your thing. And this is the thing that a lot of people are popping off about. I feel like after we got leeways and Mondstats, I would much rather just use the Mondstat one, even for cold. Maybe I'm just a dickhead, but yeah, I feel like this one is less cool than the fucking glowing cyan that you can get by the, again, this is probably significantly easier and is specifically for the cryo variant. But yes, I still think the leeways is just like blue and darker blue for ice. I mean, I'd still just use the bright blue. But cool. Now this is the thing that's really cool, but also a little sad. Essentially, when you get to level 8 of this, which is, what do we get at level 8? We get the pole arm. Well, first of all, there's a limited amount of these kind of shards throughout the world space. So they say everywhere from Monday to Friday, you'll be able to actually grind quests for this tree, which is the Crimson Wish. The Crimson Wish. Now the thing that sucks is that these actually will go away when you max out your level, which is kind of a touch sad. But the good news is that you're able to grind, you have something to do without like resin being a pain in the ass, but you only have a couple. And it seems like it refreshes every Monday and Friday. Yeah. Okay, maybe, oh, I just pulled something on my neck. Oh! Yeah, but it says it refreshes every Monday and Friday. Sorry, so not every day of the week. That's my bad. Also my voice. No, but it refreshes 2 days a week. Cool. Monday and Friday. Nice. This is showing the different like types of biomes that we're going to be finding, domains and such. Awesome. This is one of the events that we're going to be getting, as well as showcasing the new sword, how it's going to just become even stronger as the event goes on. I honestly hate stuff like this. I mean, it's cool. I don't hate it. I just find it's a bit annoying when you're like, you're using a weapon and in a specific condition to where when you go outside of that condition, it's just going to become redundant. But it's kind of cool in the moment. I don't know. I would rather it just kind of, like, again, it's stale, whatever it is. That way you're dealing with the same thing that you're going to be dealing with. But yes, it gives you an insane amount of damage. It also gives you an insane amount of crit rate, 35% crit rate extra just by using it while the Dragonspire region is a bit nutty. And again, as we're going to the event shop, we're going to be getting a bunch of things, such as, I believe that's the resource that requires to level up the weapon. Awesome. We get some chains, some books, all that lovely stuff, as well as a crown, which is pretty hefty, as well as, again, the shards that I think help you master the weapon, all the way up to 90 and beyond. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is all that is, not even close to all that is going to be in Frost, the new zone, 1.2, but it's a pretty good example. Again, people are worried about the frost thing. I think that's going to be pretty chill. At best, it's a little annoying. I'm honestly more interested in Albedo right now. I want to play him because that's what I don't know, man. I have like a measly 3,000 Primo, but I don't know, man. I think if I were even able to get one of him, I think it'd be a real fun combo. Like, I kind of went the other way, where, like, again, I want Genyu, but Genyu doesn't fit within my shit, you know? So it sucks. But weirdly, if he is as good as I'm hoping he'll be in terms of alt charge, but he's definitely going to be the character that I'm not going to spend day one. I'm going to really wait and see how people build him and then be like, alright. And then I'll try to swing for him if I think so, or if I think I want that. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, needless to say, there's so much content around the horizon. I only shaved off like 7 minutes from 40 minutes, but you know, an improvement's an improvement. Okay. Thank you all so much for your time. I hope you guys let me know also what you think about Albedo. If I'm missing something, again, it's all verbatim until we actually get to play him, or a whole bunch of weird woo-woo until we get to play him. So just be patient as well. We'll have to wait and see. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Subscribe button's over there, as well as 2 videos further that way as well. Thank you again, and goodbye.